Cable Bahamas has always been considered the innovator.
People can have confidence in Cable Bahamas as a mobile operator because of our past history. We've proven to the Bahamian community that we are in fact able to manage additional services as a telecommunications company.
Customers expect the best from Cable Bahamas.
The technology that we bring is revolutionary technology because we know that the Bahamian public, they deserve it, and Cable Bahamas is here to bring it to them.
We are ready. Turn us on.
Irate Baha Mar guests take the resort to task over its delayed opening. This as the F&M's deputy leader casts doubts on the mega resort's new opening date. Princess Margaret Hospital's critical care block still not complete. Plus the U.S. Embassy's latest crime advisory. We've got those stories and more coming up tonight. I'm Dana Smith, and NB12 starts right now. Hundreds of angry tourists are venting their frustrations over yet another delay in the opening of the multi-billion-dollar Baha Mar resort. Some even blamed Baha Mar for ruining their vacation in irate comments posted on Baha Mar's Facebook page. Today, officials were in damage control mode, saying they have begun the tedious task of reaching out to those reservation holders. Jasmine Brown has the details in this report.
It was expected to open its doors tomorrow, and as we learned just a few days ago, that's not going to happen. That news is not sitting well with guests who've already spent thousands of dollars booking vacations at Baha Mar. The property is now slated to open in May, according to a statement released Tuesday night. That statement was posted on Baha Mar's Facebook page after 10 a.m. on Wednesday. Since then, more than 210 people have commented. Many of those comments included visitors desperate to know how it would impact their travel plans. Those comments were less than kind, as some said they should have been given more notice, as they've shelled out thousands of dollars on their dream vacations. Dana Schonberg said, "The most ridiculous piece of this is that we booked 2 days ago. Why were you advertising and selling rooms when you had an idea that it was going to be postponed?" Jason Pazzo said, "Okay, all joking aside, you're giving people 2 days notice? The new Riviera, nothing says high class like 2 days notice. What happened when you looked out the window and said, wow, we may not be ready in 48 hours? Kristen Carano said, "This is beyond ridiculous. I'm supposed to arrive the day after tomorrow. My husband and I took vacation and I've paid for my flight. How can you possibly think this is acceptable?" And then there were others who were upset about how they were notified. Anthony Menino said, "I'm appalled at what I'm reading right now. You put this on Facebook before even calling people who are booked. What if I didn't even have Facebook? This is disgusting." Chelsea Shook said, 2 days notice, this is our honeymoon. But not all comments tore into the resort. Some even defended and encouraged hotel officials, like Heather Baker, who said, "I passed there last week and it was a gorgeous project," sending prayers for a speedy and prosperous opening. John Casali shared similar sentiments, saying, "I am sure Baha Mar has a good reason to make sure everything is perfect for its guests." Those comments have not gone unnoticed by Baha Mar officials. Senior Vice President of Administration and External Affairs Robert Sands says rebooking packages are being offered to disgruntled visitors. Sands declined to say how many guests were inconvenienced, but he did say they would also be taking care of airline costs. As to why they will not be opening, Baha Mar officials said in a statement that despite repeated assurances from the contractor that the resort would be able to open on Friday, it has become clear that the contractor has not completed the work with an attention to detail consistent with Baha Mar standards of excellence. Last night, China Construction America Bahamas also released a statement saying Baha Mar's move to publicly blame the contractor for the project's late opening was wholly inappropriate. CCA's statement went on to say its companies have successfully delivered complex projects throughout the world, ranging into billions of dollars. It added that while the Baha Mar project has presented many challenges, CCA has responded to those challenges professionally and effectively. The Export-Import Bank of China is financing the resort. This is the second time that Baha Mar has delayed its opening. It was originally scheduled to open last December. Now, the Grand Hyatt is set to open on May 1st, and the former 694-room Sheraton Nassau Beach Hotel, now the Malia Nassau Beach, is supposed to be renamed the Malia at Baha Mar once that property completes its $19 million renovation. While dates have been given for those hotels, there are still no details as to when the SLS Lux and Rosewood Baha Mar will open. Reporting for NB12, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, the F&M deputy leader, Peter Turnquest, says he has his doubts about whether Baha Mar will open in May as promised. Calling this latest delay unsurprising, Turnquest also questioned what effect it will have on the economy and job creation, as well as government's budget projections. Turnquest said the delay shows why it's a bad idea to put all your eggs in one basket.
The thing about big projects is when they go forward as planned, they have a big impact. But when they fail miserably. And, having put all the eggs in this one basket, I think it was a bit of a risk, a bit of a stretch for us. And I think I'm still hopeful, mind you, that come the May new projected opening, that this project will be up and running. I mean, certainly as a country, we needed to, because there's no real investment other than this on the drawing board.
Turnquest said the delay does not come as a complete surprise, but it is disappointing, as the country has put tremendous reliance on Baha Mar to be a savior of the economy. He said government was counting on revenue from Baha Mar to meet its budget projections, and people were looking forward to the thousands of jobs the resort is projected to supply. Turnquest said this delay is evidence government needs to diversify the economy and investments. He added he's hopeful Baha Mar will deliver a product that will match the hype, but when asked if he felt Baha Mar's newest opening deadline in May would be met, Turnquest said he has his doubts.
I haven't had an opportunity to tour the product, so I'm not certain, but I would have some doubt, some skepticism, given the fact that they were only talking about opening I think it's the one main building and some public spaces, and if that is delayed, then I have to assume that the other projects are probably equally delayed, and so there may be some further slippage.
Now, Baha Mar has said construction issues are to blame for the delay, but Turnquest also pointed to the ongoing roadwork negotiations between government and Baha Mar over the rerouted West Bay Street. Discussions over how much government should pay for the work appear to have met an impasse, with the resort's CEO, Sarkis Ismirlian, requesting a meeting with the Prime Minister over the issue. Turnquest questioned if that situation and government's resistance to paying the money Baha Mar says is due could have had an impact.
To what extent the failure of the government to negotiate or to complete the negotiations on the roadworks that they were supposed to contribute to has had an effect on this delay, I think is something that is worth questioning. Because obviously if they did not have those funds available to them, that may have caused some delay. And so I think it's an interesting question as to whether the lack of resources caused any part of this delay.
Several essential services have yet to be moved into the new multi-million-dollar critical care block, according to Princess Margaret Hospital Administrator Mary Walker. The facility, which has already been plagued with numerous issues, was commissioned back in January. However, officials are still waiting on a few things before they can make the full transition. Walker says this transition is taking much longer than anticipated. Kyle Joaquin reports.
It's been 2 months since the grand opening of the new critical care block, and despite that grand celebration, PMH Administrator Mary Walker says there are still several key services that have yet to make that transition from PMH to the new critical care block. 6 operating theaters, the central sterile supply, and a portion of medical and surgical supplies have still not made their way to the new critical care block, according to Princess Margaret Hospital's administrator, Mary Walker. The $100 million facility has been dubbed the beginning of a new era for healthcare in the Bahamas. However, despite the January opening of the critical care block, officials still aren't sure when they will have everything needed to fully open the facility. In addition to that, Walker says they are still on the hunt for furniture and more staff. Not to mention the food court has yet to be opened as well. Walker also said, "We will move forward with full occupancy of the critical care block only as we as management team are fully satisfied that the environmental conditions are as such that patient safety will not be compromised." For months, there was no telling when the new block would be opened as officials awaited furniture and equipment. But just last September, PMH received a $35 million loan from CIBC First Caribbean International Bank. When pressed on the lack of furniture despite the loan, Walker said it was all contingent upon decisions made by Cabinet and the allocation of funds. But she did give us reasons for setbacks they're now experiencing with the new block. She said, "In a house, you only have to check lights and utilities. In a facility where you're going to have to actually anesthetize people to do operative procedures, we have to make sure that all the safety parameters have been checked and triple-checked. We are in the process of waiting on 4 test results to return regarding the anesthesia gases for the operating theaters. When we have that information, we will be able to give a substantive date of when we will transition the operating theaters over to the critical care block." According to Walker, officials have been disappointed at the delay in receiving those test results numerous times. We caught up with Public Hospitals Authority Chairman Frank Smith today to ask how things were going at the new block.
Wonderfully well, and we are ramping up every day more and more, and we should be up to full operational capacity in short order.
He said while they are still in the process of moving equipment and purchasing new equipment, the delay is for a good reason.
Well, we're moving assiduously towards it. We don't want to put a date on it. We don't put a specific day as such. But as you can imagine, you can't just dump everything in. There has to be a phase sort of migration and expansion. But we're very pleased with the progress to date. And as you could appreciate, it's a critical care facility. So very little margin for any sort of error. And we want to ensure that that is the case and remains the case. Very little margin for error.
According to Smith, staffing is no longer a major concern. Reporting for NB12, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Attorney Wayne Monroe is questioning the need for police to investigate allegations that Michael and PV Alfred Gray interfered with a court case. He says police are investigating the wrong person, adding officials should pay closer attention to the details. Simone Davis reports.
Although there is much controversy surrounding the Minister of Agriculture and Marine Science since he spoke to Mayaguana Administrator Zephaniah Newbold prior to the release of a convict, one person is backing Gray in his decision to assist those in his constituency, and that's attorney Wayne Monroe. Monroe says as far as he's concerned, the Minister of Agriculture did not commit a crime and an investigation is not necessary for his actions, but instead the actions of that judicial administrator should be investigated.
I've heard this foolishness about a criminal investigation. Somehow people think that's directed towards the minister. I don't see an offense that could be investigated. If I were the Attorney General, I would be investigating how, if what the administrator says is true, and this man was not released on bail, how someone in lawful custody comes to leave lawful custody. If I was sitting in the seat of the Attorney General, that's the only criminal offense that could be investigated.
He noted that if Gray advised the administrator that he had the power to grant bail if the person made an appeal, then that is a correct statement of law. However, Newbold admitted to the Nassau Guardian that he released the young man outright and not on bail, which contradicted Gray and raised even more eyebrows. Monroe said this suggests that Newbold is not legally trained.
If what the administrator says is the case, and I'm understanding he says he'd finished with the case, he received call and was told to release the man, and he released the man. Well, releasing somebody after the end of a case isn't a judicial function. Granting bail is a judicial function, but just telling the police let someone go isn't a judicial function at all. And I don't understand how he probably didn't get legal advice before he said that, because if he had, he wouldn't be talking to the press, and he wouldn't be admitting something like that. That actually amounts to releasing somebody from lawful custody.
The attorney also said Family Island administrators should only be arraigning cases and their mistakes fall on the minister responsible for local government because he is accountable for their actions, which he thinks creates a major problem for the government.
And part of the problem is that the minister responsible for local government is accountable for any nonsense that they do in any capacity as an administrator. So if they cause the government to be sued successfully, the judgment is paid out of the budget of the Ministry of Local Government. So that creates an obvious problem.
He noted that no Bahamian government official has the ability to influence judicial decisions.
Interference with judicial officers. We have 5 levels of judiciary. We have the Privy Council. They're made up of persons in the UK. We can't possibly influence them because we don't pay for them. We can't deprive them of resources, and practically we have no ability, no Bahamian government official has an ability to influence them.
Monroe said he hopes that the police investigation is thorough and answers all questions. Reporting for NB12, I'm Simone Davis.